language, or influence to get someone to come to with respect to understanding a position that you're trying to convey is kind of a very roundabout way of saying it. It's just influencing someone to make a decision based on your information and guidance, I suppose.
Good stuff. Good stuff. You guys, been talking about Ogmandino a lot. If you've never read any of Ogmandino's books, highly recommend it. The first book I ever picked up from Ogmandino was a book called The Greatest Salesman in the World. Now you would think like, oh, this book is about sales. The book actually takes you almost a year to read because there's daily scrolls that you have to read 3 times a day. The book is literally about this big, but it takes you so long to read it because it's a commitment. I've always been a fan of Ogmandino since I started reading his series long time ago. And I wanted to share a couple things with you guys this morning. It says, people are persuaded more by the depth of your conviction than by the height of your logic, more by your own enthusiasm than any proof you can offer. I'm going to say that one more time because I really want you guys to think about this statement. People are persuaded more by the depth of your conviction than the height of your logic, more by your own enthusiasm than any proof you can offer. When I say that, Kelly, what comes to mind when I read that quote?
Just your passion is what's going to convince people and propel you forward more than anything else. Obviously, you can't be a dumbass. Like, you have to know what you're talking about too. But like, when you are coming from a place of passion and conviction, you will go far.
You know, and I think in some cases, you might be able to be a little bit of a dumbass. And
yeah, true. Yeah.
Because people feel that passion and energy, like, well, fuck, if this dude is so excited about this, or this gal is super excited about this and has so much conviction behind what they're saying, I'm just going to listen to them. Right? It sounds like they know what the heck they're talking about. Ernesto, you had your hand up, brother. Go ahead. You're muted, bro.
Sorry, your timing with this topic is so perfect. Long story short, I live by this principle that information makes people think, but emotions make people act. And so that's why I believe in things like really high quality photography and staging, because how a home feels when they walk in it can change everything. So anyway, a good friend of mine comes over last night to watch the game, and I helped him buy a condo here in Concord. And we were reminiscing about 2 that he was in between. And I almost pick up just a tiny bit of buyer's remorse on his end, because one that he really liked had a bigger patio that he could host on, but it needed more updates and it costed more money. But now, like, zooming out and looking at like the long, the amount of time he's going to live in it, it's almost like he wishes he would have went for the more expensive one with the bigger patio, which got me to question now with this conversation, should I have been more persuasive?
Okay, good stuff. I saw Armando, your hand went up, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty interesting how you said enthusiasm and conviction is actually, it's more useful in persuading people than what you're actually saying. And I think there's this statistic that says 96-97% of communication is it's not really what you say, it's like how you say it. It's your nonverbal, and it includes a bunch of other factors, not exactly what you're saying. And it kind of goes back to the point, you can probably like bullshit your way through things sometimes, and as long as you're confident about it, people are going to believe you. And an example I like to use is Conor McGregor. Look at how he is when he talks. He speaks with such conviction, with such confidence, that you would think if you just heard him speak at a press conference, he's the best UFC fighter of all time. You think he's the GOAT when he's actually not.
Yeah, but I believe that he'll kick my ass. If I just heard him talk and I just saw him speak, I would probably think that he was going to kick my ass, or at least give me a run for my money. Kenny, I know you have something to chime in on this, brother.
Yeah, like you guys follow any like startup world stuff, like the startup tech world stuff. A lot of times they get like companies get bought out because the CEO is so captivating. I mean, look at WeWork. Like that guy really does. I mean, the really cool documentary. But they truly believe what they say. They're passionate about it, and they can pitch a story. They get it. So the same with Shark Tank. A lot of times they'll buy the product just because the product might not be that good, but they see the vision that the leader has. So if they're that passionate about it, that's why on Shark Tank they dress up and kind of go all out because they need to be believable, and they truly are. But the more you can pitch it and just share enthusiasm and passion, will get people to do what you want to do. Frank Gove said this when in the recruiting world, you know, if you have bad sales skills, like enthusiasm will over that enough enthusiasm, people overlook that part. So just be excited about whatever you're doing, and people will believe you and want to do what you're doing. And then there's a thing when you first asked about like what that thing persuasion is. A lot of people can I don't know, confuse it with
Manipulation.
manipulation. That's right. The manipulation is when you try to get someone to do something that's not in their favor. But persuasion is when you're really looking out for their best interest, and you're trying to get them to kind of see what you're seeing. So
Totally.
different from manipulation.
I'm glad that, and I'll come to you in a second, Patrick. I'm glad that you brought up Shark Tank, because ironically, we're watching it last night, and it's a couple who the lady is 9 months pregnant, or she's due any day, and they have a daughter at home. They had lost their job, and they went all in on making this dip. This dip was ground up chicken with all their seasoning. So it was literally, yeah, see Kelly's face? It was like, wait, ground up chicken. But everyone that tasted, all the judges were like, this is kind of good, right? It was kind of good. And they had this compelling pitch. They're like, I don't know where this market lives. I don't know if this is something, but they had such an incredible pitch. And it was like, I don't know what you did, but you made us feel something deeper. And the numbers pan out. You made us feel a certain way. We're actually going to give you a chance solely because of the way that you guys made us feel, right? And it was the cutest couple, and she's crying. They're from the South, and I can't believe it. It was remarkable. And it was all because they did a really, really good presentation. They put their heart and soul on the line. Patrick, let's head over to you, bro. You had your hand up.
Yeah, it's a major reason, huge reason why I had tunnel vision to get into it, specifically residential real estate. And I think that there are some salespeople who could sell you a bag of bricks and make you feel good about it. I am personally very much of the mentality that like, I really want to believe in what I'm selling, because I am a really bad liar. Like I'm so bad at lying, and honestly, it's a blessing. Because it forces me to always be honest, and it forces me to always work in environments and with products that I only believe in. And real estate is like the piece de resistance of like investment opportunity. It's like the only investment you can live in. It is it's an investment that has personality. It's an investment that you can create memories in and like raise your family in. And it's such a special, unique industry. And I resonate so deeply with this conversation, because I have been in environments where like, I don't really rock with what I'm selling, and the enthusiasm is low, and like, you could barely pull a pulse out of me. But with real estate, I mean, you know, you can have no escrows and still speak like you're like in the middle of, you know, the biggest speech of your life, and move people off their square simply because you know what type of change this could bring to their life. So definitely huge advocate of.
I would say we agree that we think that about you, Patrick.
Go ahead.
I think we think that about you, and your brothers and sisters on this team would say that about you. When you speak and you create these videos, when you first started the team and you created that Eichler video, we're like, this dude has been in this game for a long time. Like, you speak as if you have been in this game for a long period of time, my man. So I think you're the epitome of what you're saying, right? Like, we see that in your own style and your own business and your conviction in this business, man. So Kenny and I have been saying since the start, we're like, dude, this dude's videos.
Patrick speaks about what he's passionate about, right? Or what he really likes. Like, I've seen your video on Eichler and your girlfriend. So like, you're not doing random videos about random things. So you know what you're talking about, and you're only working on those subjects.
Yeah, good stuff, you guys. Nicole, I'll come to you in a
Yeah.
second. Let me read another little portion of this. It said, if I could describe the art of persuasion in one sentence, it would be this, and I know I would be right. Persuasion is converting people. No, it's not. Not to our way of thinking, but to our way of feeling and behaving. And if a person's belief is sincere enough and deep enough, he or she is a walking climate of positive acceptance. He or she has an obsession that cannot be denied. Let me read this next verse for you. The most persuasive person in the world is the man or woman who has a fanatical belief in an idea, a product, or a service. The one common denominator of all great men in history is that they believe that what they were doing. If we could choose one lantern to guide our footsteps over the perilous quicksands of the future, it should be the guiding light of dedication. Let me hit you with this last one. It has been said that the words are the fingers that mold minds of men. Words, however, can be refused, but a positive attitude that springs from a sincere belief cannot, right? And I read that, you guys, and it really, really hit home for me, because I will tell you this, and I'm only speaking from experience. I've gotten a far way in my career because of raw energy, right? Of course, I have to back it up. I have to become an expert on communication. I have to understand our market. I have to understand the nuances, human behavior, cognitive behavior. I've gone deep into these things, but I'll tell you what, I was able to, at a young age, sit in front of executives like, who the heck is this dude with all this fucking energy, right? Who the heck is this dude? So I've known from a very, very young age the positive impact of your energy, your physiology, like Armando was saying, your body language, all the things that we use in regards to our communication. People feel that. As soon as you get out of the car, as soon as you say hello, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. Oh my God, look at how beautiful you are. She's like a little princess. Awesome. Let's head inside, you guys. I can't wait to show you this house. Well, damn, this dude is super, super. Kelly and I had that experience with a client that is now in escrow, right? And it was simply because of the way that we made them feel, right? That was it. So if you guys are cognizant of this, if you guys are aware of this, instead of going in, okay, I have all my facts and figures. Okay, this is a 3-bedroom, it's 2-bath. Hi, how are you? Welcome. Like we want to overload ourselves and our clients sometimes with all the data and all the facts and all the figures and all the logic, which is important. But you got to lead with that connection first. And so I'm really glad that we're having this conversation. Anybody else want to chime in on what we just covered? Anything that I just read? Anything that sparked? Any ideas? Anybody want to share their insight on what I just shared? Go ahead, Nicole.
I was gonna say the statement in regard to like people move on based on emotion. And life insurance, they train us to pull on the pain. So like you're asking questions to kind of find where their feelings are. And then once you find like that one thing, whether it's their kids or, making sure they have something going on for their parents are getting older. They want to be able to take care of their parents, whatever. Pull on that and you're able to start to change their emotions.
Totally. Absolutely. I call it the third level. The third level is the emotional reasons why people do what they do in life, right? And so it's important that we hit that, but the only way that we're going to hit that is by asking questions. You're not going to get there with everyone. Some people are just not those people. We have a client right now, offer wasn't accepted, text her. She's okay. She's okay. Thanks. Appreciate the update. Next house. I have a list of houses. She's just super cut and dry. But then we have other people, they're very, very, very emotional. But I think that with the lady that's cut and dry, we'll get there. It's kind of like Kenny. Kenny's not the touchy and feely type of person, but but I know how to connect with Kenny. So let's do this. Before we move on, does anybody else have something that they want to share on this topic?
I'm gonna make a really quick comment about a personal experience where the largest transaction I was a part of really happened because of the exact thing you're bringing up. I was working with this client that was very set on a budget of 1.2. He said, I'm never going to move beyond that point. And he was very factual, very logical, an engineer mind. And a house that I knew he loved. Like the moment he walked in, I could tell that he loved it so much. And I was so afraid of, like pushing him gently to open his mind about his budget. And I knew he could afford it. I was so scared of doing it because I was like, oh my gosh, like what if this is too much, and what if it doesn't work out, like all these, you know, fear factors. And the moment I asked him, like, think about 3 weeks from today, when the number this house is sold for comes out and it was sold for 1.3, would you regret not moving forward with 1.3? The moment I told him that, like, he just said, I would really regret not putting an offer on it for 1.3. And I was like, there you go. Like, this is how you're supposed to think about it. And like, he went from factual 1.2 is the max budget to like, no, I would really be sad and like angry and frustrated if I don't get it at 1.3. So the dialogue of just like, think about it and like put yourself in that position in the future, like really just changed the game for him.
Totally. I love it. You know, and people aren't going to buy what you're saying. People are going to buy how you're making them feel, right? Like you guys all have a true ability, and you're all great communicators, or else you probably want to be in real estate, right? Like you truly have an ability to influence the way that people feel, right? Put things in a perspective, ask them really, really good questions. And I'll tell you what, that's going to elicit the type of information that you need. And if we say close them, no, it's not I'm not closing you. It's a logical conclusion based on all the facts that I found out to you that are important. This is the logical conclusion. You can call it a close, but I call it's just the logical conclusion based on everything that you have given me, that you said was important to me, Mr. Buyer, Mr. Seller. So absolutely love this. Good stuff. Cynthia, you're just hopping in. So I know Cynthia will probably have something that she'll want to share on this. Cynthia, I read this quote in other portions of this book. I'm going to hit you with this if you're later hopping in. People are persuaded more by the depth of your conviction than by the height of your logic. More by your own enthusiasm than any proof you can offer, right? So we've been having a conversation about, I saw your reaction there. We've been having a conversation about persuasion, the way that we make people feel, leading with this energy, and obviously following that up with logic. So if you were just hopping in, that's really what we're talking about right now. So let's shift gears, you guys. I want to talk a little bit about the market, and I want to open this conversation up. I want to hear how you guys are having this discussion around the market. So by a show of hands, has anybody seen any minor shifts in the market as of late? Okay, all right. So Michael Spivey, Kevin. So let's go over. I want to hear from a couple people. Let's go to Kevin Magna. Dude, Kevin, I don't know what it is, man. Since we said the other day, like really finding your brand. This data dude has been stuck in my head ever since. And obviously it's because of the numbers agent. So anyways, I was just thinking about you. So Kevin, give us a quick update in your words about, so I'm your client and looking, so yeah, Kevin, I just kind of, what's your synopsis right now on the market? What's going on?
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Thanks for asking, Elias. Yeah, so there's definitely a little bit of a shift happening. We're seeing at different price points. Let me give you a couple examples of the buyer pools that we're seeing, like in the 1.1 to 1.3 range. Instead of 10 to 20 offers, we're seeing like 3 to 5 offers, but we're still not seeing the downward pressure on price yet. But on the other hand, just this week, I lost out on a $1.8 million deal that was $300,000 over ask price, and there were 17 offers, and that was in Pleasanton. So the areas with really good schools, you're still seeing a lot of competition for the really nice houses. But you know, there's still some great houses that are sitting on the market, and those might be ones we want to focus on in the short term.
Wow, really, really good stuff. I love that, Kevin. And before we go on, let's all give Martinique a giant round of applause. You guys saw that she got her, she was already ready, but did her baby's hair, was feeding her cereal, eating a banana, packing her bag, on coaching, on the road now. I don't know where she's going to, but let's give Martinique a giant round of applause. Super mom up in this house.
This is every day.
No, and you know what? It's like people say, oh my God, how do I do it? You figure it out. You just figure it out. Right? She's parting hair and doing all that stuff and eating cereal and like, just hats off to you. hats off to you for figuring it
We're
out.
also going to cover our coaching or our squad leading meeting today, FYI. So in addition to all of that, she's leading our team squad meeting today.
Now, Martinique, what squad are you on?
Sunday.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Love it. So Kevin, I'm loving what you're saying. Here's a lot of things that people are going to be, and it's to their advantage, right? If you had been working with the buyer for the last 6 months, what did that buy? If you're not in contract, you're experiencing high levels of buyer fatigue, right? If you are a new person coming into the market right now, you're fresh, right? You haven't been beat up. You haven't taken all the knocks on the chin. Well, a lot of those people that have experienced buyer fatigue over the last 6 months, last 3 months, some of them are throwing in the towel. Some of them are saying, you know, I just can't do this anymore. So as they get out of the market and take a pause or whatever they're going to do, you have this new round of buyers that are coming in, and then having it be summertime, we're seeing an influx of inventory. Now, like Kevin said, we're not seeing a dip in prices. What we're doing is we're seeing a stabilization in the amount of competition. We just wrote an offer yesterday on a house in San Leandro, thought it would have tons of offers. It only had 3. So our buyer said, do we need to change our strategy? I'm like, no, we're top 3, right? So I don't think we need to change our strategy. We're just going to keep on looking. So good stuff. Let's go to somebody else. Who else wants to give me a quick update on their market? Let's go over to Amy. You said you saw some shifts in your market. Let's hear from you.
Yes, well, I've been doing a lot of open houses lately, and I've noticed that, you know, we were talking about how the market is cooling down. It's not hot anymore, it's more warm. And what I'm seeing is the buyers that are coming in, like you were talking about, there's not as many offers put on a property. So they feel like they have a chance. It's like a property will be only have 1 offer or 2 offers. But I also have noticed that they're still listing the houses for way lower market value. Like, you know, in Oakland, I did a house that was $799,000, but they kept it. It was on the market for 2 weeks. So I'm seeing things that they're staying on the market and they're having multiple weekends of open houses. So I feel like they're trying, you know, people, they want to get over $1 million, but they're listing the house really low. So that I thought was really interesting. And I feel like buyers are super savvy. Like they're starting to really pay attention to, you know, to the prices and the big, they don't want to start offering, you know, hundreds of $1,000s over anymore, because they're like, oh, well, this house has been on the market for quite some time. So I thought that was really interesting.
It's all strategy though, right? They know that a study says here, according to Zillow, 62% of all homes in the Bay Area sold for above list price during the first quarter of 2021. That's up 47% over the same period of time in 2020, right? So when we think about that, that's all Bay Area strategy. That's not going to change anytime soon. But days on the market has been a little longer, because before it would hit the market for 1 week and then they would set an offer date, right? Well, now we're seeing 2 weekends. And I think that part of it is selfishness. I want to get a bunch of leads because I haven't had a bunch of leads, or I want to get as much exposure as I possibly can and let my clients know. And then I have opportunities to get more listings in that neighborhood. So, you know, part of it might be selfish, part of it might be for, you know, the mass exposure. Let's go over to PK. PK, you had an insight on this.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the exclusivity that was happening during the pandemic, where it was like no open houses, everything had to be scheduled, and it was like you had to be accompanied with an agent. I feel like all of that, because I'm seeing so many like buyers come through open houses, and they're just like 10 homes lined up, and they're just like without their agent. God knows what they're even like looking at. Like, it's just so different because it's buyers, they're on their own now. And they go to their agent, they're like, hey, I kind of like this one. What do you think? Like, it was so different. Like during the pandemic, like we were with them every step of the way. There was more conversation happening in the properties. There was more exclusivity happening. So now I feel like it's more options. So with more options comes lower incentive to want to take an action. And then on the other side of it, I feel like there's a little bit of a PTSD going on for buyers because
Totally.
they went through so much trauma of like getting beaten up. Now they're like, I don't even want to move. I just like want to stay stale. So
Yeah.
the two accompany together, I kind of feel like it's what's happening. It's taking longer for properties to getting sold. And for the first time, sellers are a little bit concerned. I was in a conversation after my open house in Hayward. The guy was like, I don't even know if I'm going to get offers. Like, am I going to get offers? And I'm like, you're going to get offers. Like, don't panic.
You know, and I think that's a really astute, you know, way to look at this, about that exclusivity. But think about it from your standpoint. If there is 10 homes that they want to see over the weekend and 5 of them have open houses, guess what, Mr. Buyer? Go and see those homes, circle back to me and let me know what you thought, because it's going to alleviate some of that, you know, appointment time to where you're not showing 20 homes, 3 different clients, 7 different cities on a Saturday and Sunday like we all did, right? Because the exclusivity, I have to be there. I have to open the door. Obviously, let them know, hey, you're mine. Don't go and write it with anybody else. Have that conversation with them. But man, that should be able to alleviate some of your guys' schedule. So really good stuff, PK. I love this exclusivity talk. Patrick, you raise your hand too. Durant.
Sorry, guys. Phone's not working here. So it's just an opportunity for us, like Elias said, the way I feel is to demonstrate our knowledge to the clients, because it's very neighborhood and location specific as to, is this going to get 50 offers and 500 grand over list price, or are we going to get 2 offers and can we compete? So my take on it is it's just an opportunity for us to demonstrate our knowledge to our customers.
For sure. I think that when PK said this buyer fatigue, you guys, it's a real thing, right? Some people have never experienced that and they're fresh, but the ones that have, it's a real thing, right? And we experience their buyer fatigue, right? How many of you have been spent with the client? 85 different homes. Jen showed a client 75 homes. Finally closed, it was their largest deal ever, but 75 homes, that's exhausting. It's exhausting, you guys. Go ahead, Kevin Magna.
Like I got to the point with this client, you know, this is the one where I've been showing for 6 months. We got into contract and then we fell out and then he pulled out last weekend. But I told him, like, I said, look, I think you just need to take some time off. Like, he's tired of driving from the peninsula all the way out here. Like, just calm down. Time is on our side. It's always been on our side. There will be more inventory. Like, I'm trying to get him just to calm down. He's in such a hurry and he's driving me crazy and he's driving himself absolutely insane. So I'm like, hey, like, you deserve to not drive on Saturday and Sunday this weekend. Like, just relax with your son and enjoy the time. Like, we'll find the right house. It will come.
You know what? And I love that you say that, because think about it this way. If you guys had a 4th quarter speech to give to your client, right? It's the 4th quarter. We're close. The finish line is there. We got to give it our all. We got to lay it out on the field right now. Let's do it. Like, Kevin, in a sense, has to be that coach, and you guys are all coaches to your clients, and help them through that last 4th quarter when it's tough, when they're exhausted, when they have to get that final burst of energy to make it to the finish line. So Kevin, love that. Love that stuff. Good stuff. Kyle, I know you were driving earlier, but I saw you watching the weather report on social. So my man, I'm sure you have a quick update for us.
You already know I got a quick update for you. Yeah, man, give me 1 sec here. I'm pulling into a lot right now. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, we are seeing a slowdown. Obviously, a lot of buyer fatigue. Clearly, I mean, people are like, "Holy shit, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath for $1 million? You out of your mind?" And so I think that is a lot of what's happening. I mean, obviously, there's been a slowdown in pendings. As of this month, it's been like a little bit of a slower moving spot. However, inventory is still crazy low. So I'm telling people, I'm like, yeah, I mean, the cities are opening back up. People are going back into their offices. Urbanism was a big thing for a long time, and I think it's going to remain a big thing. It's just with COVID, everybody got freaked out. But I think people are moving back into the cities. They're working from their offices again. They're living in their apartments and everything like that. However, with this, new thing that's coming up, no one knows what's going to happen. We could go through another shutdown. Hopefully not. But given that, you know, sure, there's only 5 or 6 or 10 offers now on properties compared to 20 and 30. But, you know, with population still increasing, there's just, you know, we got these millennials that are coming out of the blue with all this money that are still buying up these properties. And now this is a big opportunity for a lot of different people, because now they're seeing a little bit less competition. So they're jumping into it, which I think is a big win. Because if we do see a market drop, and this is what I like to share with people, I'm like, okay, imagine this. We do get a market drop. Now, me personally, I have a whole pipeline of people that are ready to rock and roll and jump on this. And I know that a bunch of other agents in my office have a pipeline of these investors and these clients that have been waiting for a market crash. So it's like, okay, cool. Let's compete with 5 or 10 right now. Might go in a little bit higher of a price, but a super low interest rate. Or later, when the market does drop, the interest rates will probably come up a little bit, and you're going to be competing with shit. Who knows? Maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, 80 people. I mean, because I don't know about you, but I've got a whole bunch of people that are waiting for the crash. And so if something does happen, I think it's going to be much more competitive than it is now. And so that's what I like to just kind of push off to people. I'm like, you make the decision. I want to give you all the facts. I'll give you the numbers. I'll show you the stats. But the simple fact is supply and demand, and population is going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So that's the way I leave it with people. And then they're like, oh, shit, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, really, really intuitive, man. Really, really great way to look at this. And I think that you mentioned something like all this money. I'm sure you guys have wrote an offer with the 27, 28-year-old person, and you get their proof of funds, and you're like, oh, I cannot believe how much money this person has in their bank, right? When I was 28, I didn't have that style of money in my bank account, but these tech companies gave people, you know, tons of stock options. You know, some of them have been there, and they have this ability to sell off their stocks and purchase real estate. And so the tech market's never going to go anywhere. Now, since pandemic, people have realized, well, I do want more of a house, or I do want a Zoom room, or a lot of them, our positions have been determined post-COVID. So having the need and want for outdoor space and have a dog, I think that's going to be a longstanding effect of pandemic. And I think what pandemic did is, and I'm sure a lot of communities are happy about this, pandemic put cities on the map that were never on the map. And what I mean by that, you see competitive markets like, let's take Antioch, for example. You would never think 20 offers, 30 offers on a house in Antioch, no fucking way, right? 600, 700,000, 800,000, no way in Antioch. But COVID put all these outlining communities on the map in a huge way. It's crazy to think the price points and the distribution of wealth because of COVID, right? It took wealth from the city into these tech markets and spread it out through all the Bay, also throughout the country, right? Throughout the country. So let's go to a couple more people. Good stuff, Kyle, man. Super, super smart, brother. Love it. Let's go over to Joaquin. No, actually, let's go to Brianna. Sorry. Brianna, you there? Let's go to Gabrielle.
Okay. Yeah. So what I typically have been saying is, oh, can you hear me?
I can. Yep.
Yeah. So what I typically have been saying is that it's still a seller's market, but we're seeing a few indicators that the market is cooling down compared to where we were like even 5 weeks ago. We're seeing a bit more inventory. We're seeing homes staying on the market longer. We're seeing a few less offers on homes. So these factors combined with the low interest rates are creating an environment that is a little more friendly to buyers. And so I say if you have that long-term vision in mind, you might definitely still experience some short-term challenges, but it's a good time to start your home search or even return back to it if you experience buyer fatigue.
Love it. I love it. And I think that if you were talking to me as a consumer and just the tone and the way that you structure your words, I would say, yeah, she's definitely got a point. Michael, I know Michael Spivey, you had raised your hand. I apologize, my man. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, so pretty much as far as the market right now, definitely it was a seller's market. As far as activity went, you know, there's weren't many properties available on the market compared to the buyers that were there. And, you know, now as far as the buyer activity I'm seeing with listings, just the amounts of buyers that are coming in and really competing for those homes, you've seen that change. Say there were 7 to 10 competing offers that were available and kind of in front of you. Now you might see that 3 to 4, and that typical, we're off the market in 3 days or off the market in 1 week, you know, that just rising to 2 weeks is a bit more normal now. So it can be expected. And yeah, that's just kind of quick conversation. I feel like everybody else kind of touched on a lot of stuff for this topic.
Let me ask you a specific question. So, you know, Michael and Pamela live on the other side of the Altamont Pass, and they live in a place called River Island, which is in Lodi. So let's talk a little bit. Excuse me. Let's talk about the influx that you've seen and how you've seen it change your local market from what's happened since pandemic. Let's have that conversation, bro, because I think that you guys have seen it, I mean, in a crazy way, because who would ever thought that Stockton would be the place that people were moving to?
Yeah, so it's been pretty crazy over here just because, just to kind of give you guys the picture, Bay Area, they're moving out. When I say moving out, there's maybe that Tracy, Antioch, Oakley, Brentwood line. But now even from that space, people are continuing out past Tracy to the cities like Lathrop and even Manteca, and, you know, moving on towards Stockton. I'll get to Stockton in a second. But just to give you guys an idea of location, Lathrop is about 15 minutes past Tracy. Now, Lathrop at the beginning, you know, amazing city, a lot of growth happening. But as far as the price of the homes, that's really been the biggest change we've seen in the speed that has changed. And this goes for the new home market along with the resale. Just to give you an idea on the new home market, just going about a year back, I got a client in a home for $550. Me touring people now, those homes are up to $650, almost $7. So in just a year's time, that's, you know, $100,000 in equity. And when it comes to all these new homes coming from River Islands to Stanford Crossing, all of these are in Western Lathrop. Every single new home has a wait list. So it's just already an expected thing going on. And with these wait lists, you know, it could be 20 homes available, but there's 200 plus people on these lists. So everybody, the strategy is you just sign up for every single list with every single list. Now, yeah, you just wait for your name to be called. And that's just something that wasn't happening at first. And as we started to see that start to, you know, arise, I think the biggest sign was they had people waiting in line overnight to get in a home. And that's when they officially kind of started changing that policy. And that's when that transitioned into the wait list side. And yeah, for the resale aspect of things, just very few inventory on the market that's available, say under 10 homes on average, you know, at some points 5 to 7. And with that rotation, you were seeing that change almost every week. It was like a different 5 homes that would be available. And yeah, so Lathrop, Manteca, hopefully I'm not talking too much on it, but yeah, Lathrop, Manteca definitely has had a crazy change. Like the value of the homes overall going up, the traffic just from individuals from the Bay Area and other locations that can work from home now that typically did not have that opportunity. Now they're moving out here, and yeah, it's just everything has changed in a city like Stockton. Now that Lathrop, Manteca, you can't even, you're priced out of these areas now. It's to that point. So now the next conversation is, okay, you couldn't afford the Bay Area, you pass that Antioch, Tracy, Brentwood, like that line right there, you pass the Lathrop, Manteca line. Now, you know, we're having that conversation about Stockton, and, you know, a lot of people have kind of a negative connotation behind Stockton, but truly Stockton is, as far as I'm concerned, it's a pretty amazing city. It's had a lot of growth and development, and there are definitely some amazing pockets, and even some of the pockets that were struggling before, if you drive around, you can see the growth, the change, you know, flippers coming in, investors, that kind of growth, upgrades to properties, the businesses moving in around the downtown area. And yeah, so even that city, it is affordable as of right now, but yeah, you got to make that move. And that's the Central Valley update.
Love it. I mean, I love your insight on this, and to think about the distribution of wealth and, you know, where it's coming from and how it's driving all these markets. So Lauren, so really good question. She had asked, is she seeing a slow, does anyone think it's slowing a bit also because everyone is busy trying to make up for the lack of summer during the pandemic? In some senses, yes. So Kenny answered that. For the week of the 4th of July, we had our slowest week, but then we just had our largest week in production. Kenny, was the official number 24 million? Sorry, I wasn't at the meeting yesterday.
Oh, like 26 or something crazy. I think we had like 37 escrow. So we had that short week. People took it off. Yes, people are vacationing, but now what? Not having Calendly and showing time, when they're back, they're seeing homes right away. They're writing offers. So that vacation thing does have some impact, but not really as much anymore because market's slowing down. You probably have a week and a half to look at homes, not 3 days. So it's evening out. This is definitely a normalizing market.
Yeah, I mean, to think about, that level of production in 1 week, some struggle.
Oh, that's we didn't use that word. I remember when we were a client, we used it because I've been through 2 cycles. The word right now is, yes, the market's slowing down, but it's stabilizing and it's normalizing. It's not normal to have a house on the market for 4 days on the market. Tri-Valley, like 6 days on the market. That's crazy. Like in other parts of the country, like 30 days, 60 days is pretty normal. So now we're like, I remember back in like 2011, I mean, maybe 2014, 15, when market is at its peak craziest, it was like, oh my God, it's 20 days on market, 14 days on market. So this has just been crazy. Like, this is not okay. So now that it's normalizing, it gives more opportunities. So use that word more, normalizing, stabilizing with your clients.
Absolutely. So let's do this. I'm going to hear from, let's hear from you, Lauren. I mean, you're newer in the game. I mean, how are you having this conversation when people are asking you that question? How's the market? Really, what's the conversation you're having with clients and prospective clients?
Well, I mean, I've been kind of saying the same thing as everyone else has been kind of chiming in with. For example, when I was hosting open house with Will just last weekend, it was listed at 549. People were asking me constantly, what do you think though? Like, what do you really think this is going to sell for? And, I was able to let them know that, just down the block sold for 580. So, being able to tell them that, it's not impossible. I don't think this is going to go, $100,000 over. We're starting to see a little bit of a dip, yes, it's still a seller's market, but to not lose faith that it's slowing down for buyers in their favor. So, I've just seen that kind of a little bit of relief in these open house attendees, prospective buyers' eyes. I met a lovely couple. They, are planning on making the move from San Francisco City, and they want to be more in a suburban area. So seeing that in their eyes was very, very great. So, I that's kind of what I've been saying.
Good stuff.
Definitely.
Love it. Let's do this, you guys. Let's kind of wrap things up. I'll tell you what, Kenny and I are super impressed with your guys's your ability to grow, to learn, to apply, to know your shit about the market. Like these are hard conversations to have. And how's the market? It's good. It's kind of slowing down. Like I love what you guys are saying, because that's why I ask these questions, because you're going to hear stuff from Lauren and be like, wow, like I don't say those things. I hear something from Amy, like, cool, Ernesto, that's a really good point. The idea is to gather all this information so you can have very productive dialogue with your clients. The last thing I want you guys to do is feel stale when you're having conversations with clients. How do you refrain from feeling stale? Is you feed your mind with all of this stuff so you can provide great data to your clients, and you sound very, very smart and astute about what's going on in your local market. Read, you guys, that market update channel, every single minute, 30 minutes a day, every single morning, 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes, 10 minutes a day when you're handling your business in the morning. Read that market update channel. And I promise you guys will take away a few key things that you can share. Pamela, you had your hand up. Let's go over to Pamela really quick, and then we're going to do around the room quick takeaways. Pamela, you there?
Okay, I am. I just wanted to throw something in really fast. And this is for sellers, because the market is starting to change. If you're taking a listing, you should be having that conversation with the seller about if things, if within 30 days you don't get an offer at that price that we've, started with, what does that look like? Making those price reduction conversations on the front end, opposed to just getting stuck 2 or 3 weeks in and it looking crazy, or having to have that hard conversation with the seller, having those conversations up front and preparing them for the what if. That's
right.
what I just want to throw that in.
That's right. That's a great point. Let's go over to Shapri. Shapri, takeaways from today's coaching session. We'll get a couple takeaways and then we'll wrap up, you guys.
Just hearing everyone communicate about their market. I know the market here in the Valley is a little different than the Bay Area in terms of pricing. So hearing Michael speak on it very well was helpful.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Cynthia Peterson, squad leader, takeaways from today's session. I think Cynthia's driving. So let's go over to Freddie. Freddie, takeaways from today's session. Freddie, you there? All right, let's go over to Ryan. Ryan, takeaways from today's session. Okay, I am totally striking out here. That's why I like to have people's cameras on. Hurston, takeaways from today's session. You're on mute, bro.
Boom. Nah, I was getting to it next. Today's takeaways. Well, the market's changing, and having those reality questions pop up. You should be totally prepared for it, and we have all the resources available to us to be able to have that conversation. So that's what I got out of it today.
Awesome, good stuff, brother. Thanks for being here. Good to see you, my man. Let's go over to Jay. Jay, takeaways from today's sesh. All right, we're going to move on. I'm going to rapid fire. Ernesto, takeaways from today's sesh.
I think it's important to just have some data to back up. I know we talked about emotions and persuasion, but as it relates to the market, being hyperlocal and starting to watch those East Bay weather report videos to give like actual numbers, I think will help me just be a little bit more credible when I'm answering that question.
Good. I love it. Absolutely love it. Kelly O'Gorman, let's have you share your takeaways from today's sesh.
Definitely some changes going on in everyone's individual markets. And Ben and I actually just got into contract late last night on a house in Lafayette. And, but they put it on the market on Friday and the offer deadline was yesterday. And there were only like 2 or 3 offers and it's a beautiful, like fully redone home. So definitely things are shifting a little bit. So
congratulations. Does that make number 4 for you?
No, 3. I wish for 3. We'll get to number 4 next week. Next week.
We'll get to number 20 soon as well. Yeah. So Cynthia, are you back on or are you still driving? Cynthia going once, Cynthia going twice. Ken, you took yourself off of mute. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, real quick. The open house channel where I asked like on a weekly basis how much activity there was, it would really, really help if everyone put their stuff into it, and you'll see why as the market slows down. Because when your seller's yelling at you about why was there no traffic, you can revert to that. Well, my colleagues here at this location at this 5 traffic and this before it was 20. So like now more than ever, the data is now in the seller's hands. Before in this frenzy market last year and a half, the sellers don't care about data because everything's going up. The buyers need the data because you're trying to get them the right up. Now the market's stabilizing. Now the conversation is going to be very heavy on this is where the best listing agents will start becoming strong agents and gain more market share because sellers will want to hire the agent that can sell it faster because they priced it right. Even you're a good agent, you priced it wrong, then you're screwed. And then when your open houses are slow, like you start having to call the entire area and ask them so you report back to your seller. So now like the conversations are shifting to the sellers. So if you guys can, after open houses, put information on that, it's going to be a huge help to every single person on the team.
Awesome. Awesome. You guys, thank you for showing up. Once again, we had close to 50 people again here. I'm looking forward to seeing all your smiling faces tomorrow for our outdoor gathering. There's going to be food. There's going to be exciting things going on. We're going to talk about our Q2 winners. This is going to be great. I'm not allowed to bring the bug, which I wanted to bring the bug because it doesn't have seatbelts, and Jen said I can't drive it on the freeway, but anyways, safety first. But looking forward to seeing everybody. Make sure if you don't know the address, hit Molly up on Slack. It's on Slack. Team gathering for tomorrow in Richmond. Looking forward to seeing everyone's faces. We are going to hop on a plane, head back to the Bay. But you guys, thank you. Really, from the bottom of my heart, I am truly grateful for you guys' participation. This means the world to me. This didn't exist. Think about it. This didn't even exist 9 months ago. And then think about the work that we do now. I'm just constantly grateful for all your participation. So keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and visions. Let's go out there and crush our day. Have an amazing one, and we'll see you guys soon. If you need anything, hit me on Slack. Have a great day, you guys.
Let's go.